Welcome to Team Code Camp Tutorials. My name is Mike Brody. I'm a Swift instructor here at TCC. Today I'm going to give you a 10-minute example of what you'll experience in our Swift iPhone course. As you may have seen online, all of our courses are heavily project-based. And so today I'm going to give you a quick example of a simple number guessing game app that we're going to create. So, in this app, we're going to ask the user to select a number between 1 and 10. In this case, we'll ask our friend here, Officer Brown, to select a number in his head. After which, we ask him to multiply the number by 2, and then multiply the new number by 5. Following this, we ask him to divide the new number by his original number, and finally, we ask him to subtract 7 and tell him that we'll then guess the current number in his head. And voila, we guess the answer is 3, and our guess will always be correct because the answer is always 3 for numbers between 1 and 10. Now, for this example, we're going to be using Xcode 6.1.1. So go ahead and download that if you've not already. So we'll create our new project from scratch. So File, New Project. And let's say Mike Number Game. The language will be Swift and the devices will be iPhone. For this tutorial, we will not need to worry about using core data. Just save that wherever. And voila, here is your welcome page. For this app, we're only going to allow portrait mode, so in device orientation, make sure only portrait is selected. And before I continue, I'm going to resize our screen so you can see. And there we go. Okay, so we're going to come here to our storyboard, and this is where we're going to design the look and the feel of our app. And select your identity and type tab here. We're actually going to unselect Use Auto Layout. Auto Layout is used for when we want apps to work on both iPhone and iPad, but in this case we're only going to focus on making an app for the iPhone 5S. So you will actually select here in your simulator iPhone 5S, and now we can begin. So this is our landing page for the start of our app. And if we want more scenes or more screens in our app, we're just going to drag view controllers onto the screen. So let's go ahead and we will drag a few of these onto the screen. Now, in order to make our app transition correctly, we need to select the very first one, click Editor, Embed In, Navigation Controller. And we will then drag these other view controllers so they fit accordingly. Okay, now notice if I type down here for a particular type of object, say a label, I can select it and then drag it onto one of these view controllers. However, if I'm zoomed out, Xcode will not actually let me drag a label onto any of these. So I need to double click, zoom in, and I can now drag a label onto my screen, center it, and we'll say number guessing game. And we'll fill in the rest of these labels right now. The next page will be select a number between 1 and 10. We'll center that again. Next we'll come down here and ask the user to multiply the number by 2. And we would actually have several more view controllers in order to complete the game, but for time's sake, we will pretend this is the last screen in which we guess the number. Say the current number is 3. Alright, now let's add some buttons to this game. And of course, keep in mind that you can make this game look much better by diving into some of your views here, perhaps adding a background color for each of the pages. But for simplicity's sake, again, we're going to keep this just fairly basic. So let's search for a button. We're going to drag this onto our screen. We'll name it Begin. If you double click, that will allow you to change the title. Now here, we'll place a Continue button, as well as down here, Continue. And finally, for our last screen, we actually want a Play Again button. Okay, so we have our basic views. We now need to connect the transitions between all these views. We do this by selecting this Begin button, holding down Control, clicking, and dragging to the next view. Once we lift up our mouse, you'll see this little pop-up, and we want to click Push. This now forms the transition for us without us having to code anything. We click the Continue, Control, click, drag, push. Once again, click, Control, click, drag, push. And this arrow is a little odd, but it will still work for us. Finally, when we want to go back to our original home screen, Control, click, drag, and we head back to our original screen. Now, let's give this a try by clicking this play button and see what our app looks like. Okay, here's our home page. We can click Begin, and notice how it transitions for us. Select a number between 1 and 10. Continue. Multiply the number by 2. The current number is 3. Of course, we'd have several other views before we get to this final guess. At which point we click Play Again, and it brings us back to the home page. Now notice, up here we currently have this back button, which we want to actually get rid of this. So, let's stop our simulator, and we're going to go into viewcontroller.swift. This is the controller for our landing page. Now we're going to type self.navigationItem.hidesBackButton equals true. This is the only code you're going to need to do for this project. Let's reload our app. And notice now, when we get to our final page, play again, it takes us back to the home page, but there's no back button. And so there you go. That is a simple example of the types of projects you'll be doing in the very first hour of the Swift iPhone app course. And so, if you can learn that in just 5 minutes, imagine what you'll learn with an entire day. So I hope you'll head over to teamcodecamp.com and sign up today. Thanks, and I hope to see you there.